Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming to this session. I expect it quite be full session today. We had 650 interest. This room only has 325 spaces, so it would be a lot of jam in this session. Thank you for coming. How's your summit so far? Good? Enjoy. Awesome. Thank you. This session is about Power BI visualization, how we can make Power BI visualization a little bit better just with normal Power BI desktop features, applying those features and make your visualization another step, just making one step closer to what you want in terms of getting insight. Okay, we will leave 5 minutes at the end for Q&A. So if you have any questions, just write it down. We will cover that. Even if we don't have to cover that after the session, I'll be outside as much as you need. You can ask any question you like. Okay, so let's get this started. I'll start with the importance of visualization. Many of you have seen, actually, tables like this with a lot of numbers, and it happens a lot. Everyone has this situation. People like to see numbers, right? But the main challenge when you see these numbers is that if I'm a business user and I want to understand, okay, what are my biggest numbers in this list? It's not easy to understand that, right? You have to dig into that. You have to look at every specific area to understand which number is the biggest number. Where with a single, very small change in that visual, you can just make a color coding and make it much easier to understand. Now I can understand that these highlighted ones are those that I should be focusing on. And those are much more important. I can even change it to be a chart. That's even better, because now I can see which one is the topmost, then it's ordered already, right? I can change the coloring and get even much better insight. So right now, all of them are just one color. If I change color of one of those and the rest to be different colors, now I can tell stories. I can say, this is my company, those are all other companies. This is my customer, those are all other customers. This is my specific product, these are all other products. I can focus on specific telling stories. If you have bad visualization, it doesn't actually give you any insight. This is an example of that. I have a donut chart or an enhanced version of a pie chart that doesn't give me actually anything. All of these sections look quite similar. So many of you might think that, okay, that's pie chart or donut chart, that's bad, we shouldn't use that, but that's not the issue. If you look at this one, this is also a donut chart, but that donut chart is much better than the one that you've seen before, right? So it's not about chart, it's not about visualization, it's about the way that you use that visualization that is important, right? So with that introduction, I want to go through the whole session today. A little bit about me. I'm Reza Rad, Microsoft Data Platform MVP. I'm based in New Zealand, a little bit further. It's 12 hours to LA, then 3 hours to here. It's a little long flight over there. I fly around a lot, Europe, New Zealand, Australia, Seattle often. And I wrote some SQL Server BI books and also a Power BI Rookie to Rockstar book, which is available for free. You can download it. There's no payment needed or anything like that. You just go to my website and download it. It's about 950 pages. The next version of that will come in next few days, and that will be more than 1,000 pages. And these are my contact information. Feel free to contact me anytime, any questions you have. Okay, for this session, we are going to cover these things. I'll talk about bringing Power BI into your mobile applications. I'll talk about interactivity in Power BI, visualizations, grouping and binning. I'll talk about some custom visuals, not creating those, just using and enhancing your visualization with those custom visuals. I'll talk about choosing the right visual. I'll dig into some of these visuals, like different options for map visuals, line chart, scatter chart, column chart, what different types of column chart are, and which one is better to use in which scenario. I'll talk about combo charts, a little bit into table and matrix, and then finally I'll talk about colors. So it's a lot to cover in this session, but we'll get there. When you create a report, one of the most important things is you should design it for mobile. As you can see, at 2014, we had actually number of users for desktop and number of users for mobile crossing each other. Now we have more mobile users than desktop users. So why don't considering creating mobile reports? Cisco actually published a report, I think in 2016, that these are global traffic of internet consumed by devices. Those big blue area that you can see, that is smartphones. And those small blue area that you see at the top, those small area at the top, those are for desktops, right? So that shows how many users are using mobile devices. Every one of you, I believe, right now has mobile devices that use that. So it's quite important to build your report on, to be available for Power BI for mobile, right? Because when you do that, then you are actually having Power BI reports everywhere. You might not need to print it at all, even, right? So I put the reference for that Cisco article. You can go through that and have a look at that. I'll just show you how easy it is to convert your report to be a mobile report. I'll just plug in my mobile device to this machine and get it working quickly. Okay, I have a Samsung phone, as you already see that. It's an Android phone. It's not Windows phone. Power BI app is available in Android, Windows, and iPhone. You can download it for free. And I'm in my Power BI app now. And you can see I have a bunch of dashboards or reports. These are my favorites. So let me go into my workspaces, my specific workspace. I'll go to one of my dashboards. When I drill into a dashboard, you can easily see that this is looking fine in mobile, right? You can enhance it and change it if you go to a Power BI, to your Power BI website. Power BI website, there is a section when you design your dashboards that you can specify what is the look and feel of your dashboard. For example, let's say this is the dashboard, right? And this shows me that this is a web view of the dashboard. Let me enable my zooming function. Doesn't work apparently. So this is a web view, right? If I change it to be phone view, I can design it specifically for the phone. I can, for example, remove this one from the phone. I can make this one a little bit bigger. So you can automatically design it, and it will automatically appear on the mobile. So that's for dashboards. Dashboards, you have built-in support of Power BI reports for Power BI content. But in terms of report, if I go back to my phone, in terms of report, we don't have that functionality. So if I go to the same dashboard that I have been, and look at the report on that dashboard, you can see I still hold my phone upright, and it is still portrait mode, but you see that in landscape mode in the view over there. That means if you don't design your report for phone, it will look like this when you open it in phone. That means you have to turn it over, and you have to look at it in landscape mode. And in landscape mode, these are really small. You can see if I want to, with my finger, touch something, I'll probably select it wrong. And it's really hard to actually work with such things, right? But on the other hand side, I do have another report that I can show you, which is designed for mobile. When I go to this report, you can see it's portrait mode, and it's portrait mode over there. It's much easier to select. I can, for example, select a slicer. I can see the result. It's much more comfortable to work with. How you design such thing in Power BI Desktop, it's really easy. It's just one single trick. In Power BI Desktop, in View tab, there's a section for phone layout. When I go to phone layout, your Power BI reports by default doesn't have a phone layout because it's blank. You can see that. That's why when I open a report, it turns automatically to landscape mode. So you have to design it. I can, for example, bring these things over and design it exactly as I want. I can, for example, put this thing after that. And you can scroll as much as you like. So you can actually design it. And it's always a good idea to design these for phone. And your desktop layout is totally separate, totally intact. So for this page, I have the phone layout and the desktop layout. That's the best thing that you need to do, and very important because all of users will be using that instantly. So that's about Power BI Mobile. I wanted to talk about. The other thing is interaction between visuals. Power BI is interactive visualization tool. So you can easily click on something. Everything else will be highlighted or filtered. When I click on a filter, everything else will be filtered. When I click on another chart, everything else will be highlighted. That's the default behavior in Power BI. And it is good, but it's not always good. There are some instances that you need this to be somehow different. It is easy to change it. I'll show you first what the problem is. This is a very simple report. Not a great report, just I created in 30 seconds, I think. Very simple report built on top of a very famous AdventureWorks data warehouse. Right? I built it on top of this data warehouse example, and it's very simple. I can click on a slicer. It slice and dice data, for example, for female and male. Or if I click on something, it will highlight other things, right? If I click on professional, it will highlight these professional category now in different education category, right? This is all by default. But this default situation is not always good. If I click on partial high school, for example, what is highlighted in that pie chart is not good at all. No one can understand that, what this means. It's really hard to realize which one is bigger, which one is smaller. You might say, OK, that's because of pie chart, but it's not because of pie chart. I can simply change it to be a column chart. It's still not that much useful, right? Those values are very similar to each other. So it's not about pie chart. It's about the interaction. Because this area is so much small that when I click on it and highlight, because it's so much small compared to the actual value, it doesn't actually show me something useful. So what would be good to have in this scenario is that if I click on this, instead of highlighting, I would prefer having filtered data in that area rather than highlighting. And that's easy. That's something that you can handle easily. For doing that, you can simply click on the visual that you want to apply that interaction, then go to Visual Tools at the top, Format, Edit Interaction. It's not a new feature. It has been for many months now. When you click on this, you will see some icons at the top of other visuals. That shows that when you click on this, what would happen on the other visuals. This says that this will highlight this chart, but it will filter this and that, right? So if I change this to be filter, then whenever I click on it, now it is filtering. Now this is much better visual than what it was before. It's the same visual. It's exactly the same thing. I just changed the way of interaction of these visuals. That give me much better information. Now, on every single one of them, when I click, I will get the filtered data set. And when I just change my highlighting, that's the grand total calculation based on that category. And one thing which is important is that you have to consider this interaction between every two visuals that you have in your chart. So for example, this is at the moment, if I select this, that will happen. But you might consider something else as well. For example, I might have a copy of this visual over here. And I might say, this is my total amount, but this is selected amount. Right now, when I select something, both are changing. But I can say, OK, do not change that. Or when I click on that, do not change it. Or when I click on that, do not change it. So that means with every change I do, the total is always total. The other one is changing. So you can actually play with this edit interaction and tell stories to your clients, which is really clients, users, which is really useful. So that's interaction between visuals and very important things to consider. The next one I would go through very quickly is grouping and binning. This is added in Power BI Desktop about October, so I'll go through that very quickly. Its ability to create groups in Power BI on the fly. Sometimes you have groups in your data model. You have products and product categories. That's fine. You can simply group these with column chart, stacked column chart, or different type of charts that we will talk about. Sometimes you don't have that filtering. So that grouping, Power BI Desktop enables you to create that grouping on the fly. So if I go to this report, you can see it's a simple column chart. It's actually showing me sales amount by every education category of my customers. As a business user, when I look at this, I might say, OK, in my calculation, I always consider partial high school and high school together, and I add them up on my papers, right? But it's not here. It's not in the model. I can simply click on those with holding Control key or something like that, right-click, group. So that will create a group of these two and everything else. Now you can see I have a group and a legend at the top that says English education groups, a group which is high school and partial high school, and everything else which is other. What happens behind the scene is that there is a new field. Oops, sorry. There's a new field that you can see there, English education groups, right under English education, that is created based on some DAX calculations, DAX formulas. We are not going to talk about those. But you can simply edit it from here with graphical interface. For example, right now I have high school and partial high school under one group. I can bring bachelor and graduate degree as another section, and partial college as separate. You can also have the include other group or not, but it's always good to have it because later on you might have some other groups, right? When I click on that, now I will have 3 separate groups. So I'm creating groups on the fly easily myself, right? And when you have this group, these are part of your model. You can add it to any visual and use it in any visuals. Right now, it is a legend part of my chart. I can simply remove this English education from axis and bring this as an axis. Now I see how these groups are compared to each other. So I can see, for example, the high school and partial high school together, compared with bachelor and graduate together, compared with, what was the other one? Partial college. And I can bring the actual English education now as the legend of that group to see in each group how subcategories are working through. So I can easily create groups, very useful, very easy way of doing things, and also quite consistent way of doing this because I can use this group now everywhere else in my model. This is a group of text values. You can also create groups of numbers. For example, age. Age is something that when I create a report based on, let's say, for example, I create a table here with different ages of my clients and sales amount. I'll just make it a little bit bigger. You might not be interested in looking at a specific age, exactly 36, 37. You might want to create buckets, bounding. With grouping, we can do that as well. This is called binning because we are doing that on the number. You can simply create a new group. This is called bin because it's number size. And you can create that based on number of bins. So you can say, for example, I want 10 bins. And it will say that every bin will be about 7 years, 7.1 years. Or you can create that based on size of bins. So I can say every bin is 10 years. So when I create bins, then I can bring that over and remove the actual age. So this means the first line here now means from 30 to, let me zoom in. So this means from 30 to 39. This means from 40 to 49, 50 to 59. So I created bins easily, and now I can easily understand that these two groups are groups that are generating most revenue for my business, right? So quite useful. You can do that for dates as well. You can create bins of, for example, every 2 weeks, every 2 months, every 5 years, things like that. So that's also another good feature. Very interesting feature of Power BI, which I believe most of you already know, is custom visuals. You can easily enhance your visualization with custom visuals. There are a lot of custom visuals that are really useful. I'm not going to into detail of how to use it, but I'll just show you a couple of them to just give you an inspiration in terms of what stuff you can do with this. So this is one example with one of custom visuals. Building this report, I think, took me about an hour and 10 minutes, something like that. I actually haven't wrote any code for doing this. I used a visual, which is Synaptic Panel, built by SQL BI guys. Alberto Ferrari and Marco Rosso are running that company. So they have a custom visual called Synaptic Panel. You can download it. It's free. And the ability that it gives you is that you can have any images, for example, a car image, and you can design regions. So I designed regions, and I said, for example, this is front tire, back tire, door, front door, back door, any of these regions. And these are automatically mapped to your data points. And this is already color-coded. So this shows that these are about car accidents. So this shows that I have more accidents in the back of the car than on doors and windscreens, and then on the back door or front body, front tire, things like that. And it is color-coded. You can also click on it, and we'll see how these areas are working. So for example, when I click on it, I will see that these happened on these areas. Number of accidents in this case was 3, or number of accidents for front was that, or when I click on something else, front door, number of accidents was 2. Very, very useful visualization. Works like any other visuals. And if you look at this visual compared with this bar chart over there, they are saying exactly the same thing, but that one is much more effective to look at, right? And it's really easy to build something like that. The other visual that you can see here is called a chiclet slicer. That's a slicer that you can upload images in it. That's also easy. You can simply have URL of your image and put that in your slicer and get the visualization working. And it works like any other slicer, but it has images in it, which makes it much easier to look at your report. So with just few changes, you can easily enhance your visualization. To find all of these custom visuals, you can simply go to store.office.com, click on Power BI. You will see a big list of visuals. You can simply click on See More. It's about 88 visuals already in this list. There are some of these are really good visuals. Some of these are just someone created that. But some of these are really useful. I'll just show you one of them, which is very new. It's just created recently, called Zoom chart. So I'll just import it. It's a pie chart, I'm afraid, but it is quite useful pie chart. There is a column chart version of that as well. So in this pie chart, I can simply bring categories and values. So let's say I bring as a category. Sorry, I'll take off my phone. As a category, I'll bring from them customer English education. As the value, I'll bring sales amount. So that's like a normal donut chart, nothing specific about that. I'll bring some other stuff as well. I'll bring English education, occupation. I'll bring some other stuff like from them product category. I'll bring product category name. I'll bring the color of product. You can bring as many things as you want. Then you can drill down with this. So I can click on this area. These are bachelors. Under bachelors, these are a different occupation. And I can see under bachelors, professional occupation had the most revenue. When I click on that, under that, most of people purchased bikes. OK, I'll click on that. From that bikes purchase, which color they liked most? Black. So I can click on it. There is no other thing that I put here. But if you have, you can drill down easily. You can drill up. go back to previous level. Very good visualization, especially for drilling down into values and drilling up. Zoom chart, it's just, I think, published about a month ago. Or another visual, which is also good. I'll just change this back to the normal column chart. Another visual which published about a month ago is called, about October, not a month ago. This one is from October, and this is called Infographic Designer. With Infographic Designer, the basic look and feel is like a normal column chart, right? It's look like a normal column chart. You can also put some images in it if you want to. If you go to edit mode, you can, for example, put some images if you want to. Make it something beautiful, things like that. But that's not the great feature of that. The great feature of this visual, which is only specific for this visual, is these two sections, column by and row by. So you can actually create columns of this or rows of this visual. Let's say I want to do this analysis instead of the whole data set to be on every particular year, right? So I can expand dim date and click on calendar year, bring it into column by. Now I have 4 different column charts. Every one of them is showing me one particular year, right? And I can do that on a row level as well. I can, for example, from dim customer, bring gender. Now I have 8 column charts. They are exactly same data, but sliced and diced by different years, different genders, right? Very particular visualization, very useful. We had that in Power View a long time ago. In new generation of Power BI, this is the only visual that supports this feature at the moment. Hopefully, it comes in other visuals as well. OK, so that was a bunch of visuals I wanted to show you. Let's go through choosing the right chart. So when we are talking about visualization, right chart is quite important. So I'll explain some of these charts that are very useful for you. I'll start with map. In Power BI, we have 5 different ways of visualizing something on map. It's actually more than 5 ways. The part that I said is custom visuals. We have many custom visuals who are actually doing map visuals. So if we drill into that, it might be 10 or it might be more, right? But I'm talking about built-in visualizations in Power BI now. You can use the normal map visual. That's just bubbles on the map. You probably have seen that use Bing map. You simply search and get the result. The other one is a field map, which is regions. Shape map is another visual, which is which is still in preview mode, and ArcGIS map, which actually is now general available right now with the new announcement of Power BI as well, and a bunch of custom visuals. So what I'll be showing you is 2 of these. One is shape map. The other one is ArcGIS map. I'll start with the shape map. The normal field map visual will show you regions, right? But that is based on the Bing search engine. So if, for example, you have a suburb in a specific city, and that suburb is not listed in Bing somehow, or it is listed somehow with a different name, that field map doesn't show you the correct information. However, with shape map, you can design your own map exactly as you want, right? Or you can import a map into this. This is, as I said, still preview feature. You have to go to File menu, to Options and Previews, Options section, Preview features. Here is where shape map visual is still in preview mode, but very powerful map. You can easily import any types of map. This is a shape map visual, for example. In the shape section, here you can import a custom map, or you can use one of these existing maps. There are about 9-10 countries that we have maps for it: Australia, US, Canada, more in states level or region level, not below that. But you can easily find any maps you want. How you can import a map? You can go and search for this type of map called topo.json. Topo.json map for a specific area, let's say for Seattle suburbs, Seattle downtown suburbs. Downtown is a suburb, actually, itself. Anyway, or if you cannot find topo.json, you can simply search for shape map file for that specific area. Shape map file is something like that. If I show you an example of this, So shape map file would be something like this, which has normally a lot of files in it. You don't need to understand what these files are, but normally it has a SHP file, SHX file, PRJ, DBF. These are files that actually build that map, right? Then you can use some websites. There are a lot of websites in internet. One of them is Shapescape, which actually gets that shape file and turn it to be topo.json. Then when you have a topo.json, then you can import it easily into this type of map, and you can visualize it. Then you are limitless in terms of how you want to build your map. It can be any maps. It can be any visuals. Very powerful feature. Still in preview mode, but very powerful, especially if you want to visualize regions in your map. So that's shape map. The other type of map which I want to show you is called ArcGIS. ArcGIS, again, this has been some months in preview now. It is fully available. If you download the latest Power BI desktop, you won't see that in preview features list, but there is still a little bit funny thing happening here. When you hover on this, you will see that it is still saying that it's preview. It's not preview anymore. It's just a little bit bug over there. So don't worry about that. So what is this map? This is New Zealand map, obviously. Have you been in New Zealand? Very few. You should come to New Zealand. So this is New Zealand. If I tell you what this is, you probably won't come to New Zealand. This is a number of earthquakes in New Zealand in 2015. And this is not all of those earthquakes. This is just part of that. It's part of earthquake in New Zealand in 2015. It's about 20,000 records in the CSV files. That's how much earthquake we have in New Zealand. But this is not all of these are big earthquakes. These are just those that are with the magnitude, I think, greater than or equal to 6. Okay. So I want to show you what features you will have with this type of map. If I go to edit mode, you can change the base map. So the normal look and feel of that might be similar to the normal map. But you can change the base map. So you can change it to be something like a street map or something else. So you can change the base map. You can go to map theme and change it only to be locations. So this is showing me locations of earthquakes. Or you can do a heat map, which was what it was before. You can do the sizes as well, which is similar to the normal Power BI. And clustering. You probably have seen that a lot in companies that have a lot of branches. When you zoom in, it will drill into that section. So that's clustering. So when I zoom in, it will show me how many areas I have when I zoom out. So it's really useful type of visualization as well. I'll go back to heat map. Based on what you selected in the map theme, you can also apply some configuration. If it is heat map, you can change the colors. If it is just sizes, you can change it to be bubbles, or you can change it to be rectangle, things like that. The very good feature of that is you can add pins. So let's say I'm interested to, let's say my company has some branches. I want to specify those branches here. So for example, let's say this is about New Zealand. So one of attraction in New Zealand, if you come over, is Sky Tower. That's over there, right? Or another one is Christchurch Cathedral, which is right in the middle of one of these areas, right? So don't go to Christchurch if you come to New Zealand. You can have drive times as well. This is one of new features added in last few weeks. Reference layer. This is one of the best features of this type of map. So what ArcGIS is actually a collaboration between Power BI team and Esri ArcGIS team. Esri ArcGIS team, they have a lot of maps in their database. If you just search Esri ArcGIS, you will find their website. They have a lot of maps of almost everything. Maps of US income household, maps of pipelines in New Zealand, let's say, anything that you might imagine. And most of these maps are free. So the good thing about these reference layers is that you can add a reference layer to your data to actually get more insight into your data set. So this is The first few maps are for US. My data is not for US, so I'll go to ArcGIS section and I'll search for New Zealand. And there are a lot of information. New Zealand schools. I might never have this in my data set, but I can easily leverage it and add it to my data set. Or many other things. Traffic camera location, very useful. There are many things that you can add, New Zealand roads, pipeline, national parks, but this was in 2015, and 2015 we had a game in New Zealand, we call it cricket. I don't know if you have heard of cricket. Very popular game in New Zealand. We had Cricket World Cup in New Zealand and Australia that time, so if I add that into my map, so now you can see these are venues of that Cricket World Cup. This is Australia, this is New Zealand. For those of you who are thinking New Zealand is Australia, that's quite far away. It's 4 hours flight between these two. So these has been areas that we had World Cup venues, right? Which some of them are quite close to this area, right? So you can add more insight to your map with just adding a layer, and these are all free available, nothing special to do that. The last thing about this map, this type of map has a lot of things to offer. The last thing about this type of map is a specific feature here. Sorry, I did the wrong zooming. A specific field here called time, which we have similar feature in scatter chart for that. So if I bring something like a time slicer for this, I think I do have an origin time field, yeah. So I'll bring it over. What it does, okay, it will zoom out. Let me zoom in again. So it will show me a time slicer over here, which now I can play and I can see how these actually happened through the time, right? So you can analyze through the time. This map, ArcGIS map, is one of the best maps, visuals available in Power BI, and it's, as of today, it's generally available. You can leverage and use it. There are still many things that can be done in this. At the moment, for example, this play axis, we cannot slow down or make it faster. We can just make it longer or smaller in terms of the period, but there are still some features coming in, I believe. There are a lot of also infographic features that at the moment is only available in United States, so you can explore that to see how it is working, but very useful map visualization, which I strongly recommend everyone to use. Okay, line chart. Many of you have seen a lot of line charts, so I won't spend that much time on line chart. I'll just go through that very quickly. Line chart is normally for trend analysis, when you have an axis of a time and another axis which shows you a value, right? That's where line chart is good for. A column chart normally is good for specific categories, which might be totally separate from each other, but line chart is normally when you show a trend, when it is going up and down, things like that. It is really easy to create a line chart. I'm not going to create that from scratch. I'll just show you an existing line chart. So that's an existing line chart. I have an axis which is the full date and the value which is sales amount. When I have a full date, Power BI automatically change that to be a date hierarchy. So I'll change that to a date hierarchy, and I drill down into a month level. So that's my line chart into month level. With line chart, like many other line charts, you can simply add a legend and get some more information in it. This is for all products, sales of all products from 2005 to 2008. If I want to focus on a specific product category, I can simply bring that into the legend, and that shows me 3 different product categories, how they are working to each other, and I can easily realize that the red one, which is touring bikes, these are bike category. The red one, which is touring bikes, is actually going quite good, upwards. Green one, upwards as well, but the black one, it was upwards a little bit, then downward, then upward again, right? You might get some confusion here. Is it really going upward or downward? With line chart, we have a specific section which is analytics. This is only in line chart and column chart, more featured in line charts. It first came into line chart. Here you can add a lot of information into this. I can, for example, go to trend line and add a trend line over here. So this shows me overall trend in products category of bike is going upward, which is good, right? But this is overall. If I want to look at that in every single subcategory here, I can turn the combination off, and now I can see 3 different trend line here. For red one and green one, it's obvious that it's going upward. For black one, now I can see that it's going downward for that period, right? So you can add more insight with just adding a trend line. You can add many lines here. For example, you can add a constant line and say everything more than 1,400,000. I think that's pretty a lot compared to the data that I have. So I'll just cover that on 300,000. So you can see a reference line added here. I can change the color of that to be something different, and I can change the style of it, and I can put a data label on it. So it shows me that which area I have more, which area I have less values, things like that. And I can now go back to my actual lines and make them a little bit thicker, so I can easily distinguish these things. So you can add more lines. You can add a minimum line, maximum line, median line, a lot of reference line that helps you to understand your data much better. But don't overuse this, because if you have a lot of lines, then it's hard for users to understand as well. Column chart and bar chart are kind of very basic charts in visualization. Everyone is using that. But I want to specifically point on why we use different types of column chart. So this is a normal column chart. Sales amount by education categories, right? If I want to slice and dice that by something like a gender, I'll just create a copy. And from them customer, I'll bring gender as a legend. So now it easily shows me that male and female, how they are, how I generate revenue from male and female categories, which is similar, almost half-half in every category, right? But this type of visual is showing me now gender and English education sales amount. But what it doesn't tell me easily is that is male impartial college generating more revenue or female? I cannot tell that with this visual, right? I have to change this visual to be something else, or I have to enable data labels. If you are enabling data labels for your visual to be meaningful for users, that's not good visual. That's a form of table, right? Your visual should be totally meaningful without any numbers, right? Numbers should be extra information on your visual, right? So if I copy that, just change it to something else. Let me just make that smaller. So if I change it to be now cluster chart, now far obvious that this male category is less than female category in partial college. You can look at that at a single glance and tell me without looking at any numbers, right? That's the way that you should create your visualization. But still, that visual, this visual itself, cannot tell me that out of these two sections, high school or graduate degree, total of which is more. If I want to understand the total, I have to go back to this visual, right? So different visualizations are telling different stories. And there is also another visual that I can copy this across and show it to you. That's 100% stack chart, which shows me now in all of these categories in which category male has more sales than the others, right? So it's showing me a percentage, and I can understand that. So 4 different column charts. They are all column charts. No one of these is better or worse. It's all of these are telling totally different stories, totally different scenarios. You have to leverage this to actually go through all of these scenarios. The last part before going to the color section is table and matrix. With table and matrix, you can have a lot of actually options. So this is a table visual in Power BI. For you, most of you, if you have been working with table visuals in Power BI, there has been a change recently that 2 new visuals added, new table visual and new matrix visual. The difference between those visuals and the old visuals is that these are clickable. You can click on this and highlight the other areas, and also they support drill down. So I'll just change it to new table visual. So it's a new table visual. When you create a table, very important to do color coding. If you remember from very first slides that I showed you, without color coding, I have to investigate on that to see which number is bigger, which number is smaller. I can click on the column itself, sort it, but I don't want always to change the sorting. I just want to understand, is it really big number or small number? You can do conditional formatting easily. So on the sales amount, I can create conditional formatting on data colors. And this easily tell me that which one is bigger, which one is smaller. Or if you have been in this morning keynote section, you have seen this new feature of data bars as well, which I can create a data bar over here that shows me which area is more, which area is smaller. You can change the coloring of that. You can put some conditions around it. So for example, you can say if it is less than a specific value, then make it red. If it is more than a specific value, make it green. Still, if you compare it with Excel conditional formatting, there are still some features in Excel conditional formatting that is not here. But it is getting there, like this data bar that introduced today. It wasn't available a month ago, or even conditional formatting itself, it introduced a few months ago. So it's really a lot of new features coming in which are really useful. So my advice is that never leave your tables just as is. You might say, I'll go there and change the style of that. Style is fine, it's looking good, but color coding is very important. It helps users to understand your data. OK, the last part I want to go through is colors. Colors are very important in your visualizations. Many of us know that green, red, this is a combination. But not all of you might face a situation that these 2 colors are also good. I have a dark blue, or whatever color you might call it, and orange as the font color, dark blue as the background color. So these 2 colors are really good. How you can understand these colors, how these colors can work with each other. Colors is really important. If you don't have the right colors, you cannot convey the right message to your users. There's a concept of color wheel. I'm not digging into that much in deep, but I provided the links so you can look at these. There are 3 main primary colors, which are orange, red, and blue. When you combine each of these 2 with each other, you will get your secondary colors, which are green and violet and orange. When you combine a secondary and primary color together, you will get tertiary colors. So this combination will create 12 colors, 12 main colors of the color wheel. Color wheel generated based on these 12 colors. Out of these 12 colors, some of these colors are warm colors, some of these are cool colors. Warm colors are normally showing passion, showing something stand out. Cool colors are quite professional colors. When you create a visualization, it's important to have combination of these 2, right? Just don't use cool colors or just don't use warm colors. Have a combination of these 2. How you can find color harmonies? It's easy. When you have that color wheel, so that circle, that wheel is color wheel. Any 2 colors right opposite of each other are very good harmony. You can have one of them as the background color, another as the font color, right? This is called complementary colors. Or colors that are right beside each other. These are analogous colors. You have seen that in nature a lot. A shade of green, different things. Triadic colors, colors that are at the same distance of each other. There are a lot of harmonies, which I won't go through that, but you can go through this slides and this reference link. It's a lot of very useful information in terms of colors. And if you are out of idea, you don't know how to create color harmonies, there are some websites like this that you can look and find all different color harmonies that you can use. When you have a color harmony, then you can simply use it easily in Power BI, in a section, switch theme, import theme. I just have one theme. When I import it, you can see It's changing all of these colors. This themes is also a preview feature. For importing that, you need a JSON file. So that JSON file, I'll just show you how the JSON file look like. So I have a couple of theme files, JSON files, which if I open it, it's very simple JSON structure. It's showing me data colors. So for example, for your company, you might have a specific colors, or you might create some themes yourself. You can create it in this format. One of community members in Power BI created a website, a web page color theme generator. You can easily go to that web page and choose the colors that you want. And this will create that file for you, right? It's called color theme generator, powerbi.tips. Website created by Mike. So that's also a very important tip to consider. So with saying that, I just wrap it up before any questions. These are references to study more. So if you have any questions, as I said, Power BI books that I mentioned to you, this is the barcode for that. You can download it for free. No payment is necessary. Alberto Queiro is one of very good data visualization expert. He has a keynote today, this afternoon in keynote room, I believe. Highly recommended, 100% recommended, just attending that keynote. He has a website with a lot of books about visualization. Stefan Few website is also a good series. Devin Knight, who is not in this conference, I believe, has written a blog series about different custom visuals in Power BI. You can look at those. And there are some visualization sessions in past summit. So I highly recommend this. Any questions? You can go through a few. Yes? Yep.
Like, looks like I have to download, bring import one at a time. It's a way that we can do multiple.
So the question is that when we download, when we import a custom visual right now, we have to do that one at a time. Is there a way to do that multiple? At the moment, no. If you have seen this morning keynote, there was a way from Power BI desktop to import something. That's not generally available yet. So I haven't checked that feature. With that, it might be possible, but for now, no. The only way of that is to go into your Power BI desktop file, unzip it, because it's a zip structure, unzip it, add it in the code behind of that. It's a little bit of coding. You might do some mistakes. The whole Power BI file might be then corrupted. So yeah, no built-in way of doing that. You're welcome. Any other questions? We have, I think, 1 minute. Yes?
Do any of those maps allow you to draw a line between 2 points?
Not with these maps. With custom visual, yes. We have a custom visual called route map.
Okay.
So you actually create a route. Very useful visual. Yeah. Sorry, the question was that does any of these visuals allow you to create a route or something between 2 points? So that's the way it is. Because we are run out of the time, probably next speaker is coming. I'm here answering all of your questions. Please come forward. Thank you.